I'm standing in a marble courthouse hallway, and my hands won't stop shaking. My sister, the one who braided my hair as a kid, just spent 3 hours convincing a judge that I don't deserve a single penny of Dad's estate. Not one penny. The judge awarded her 60%. I got 30. And that's when a man in an expensive black suit walked up and handed me his business card with 5 words that changed everything. Your attorney missed something critical. I thought I knew what betrayal looked like, but nothing prepared me for the moment my own sister went to war against me over money. And then something happened that made me question whether I'd been fighting the wrong battle all along. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about inheritance or courtrooms. It's about discovering that you have way more power in your worst moments than you ever thought possible. And by the end, you're going to understand exactly what I mean. My name's Jessica, and I'm 32. I work in marketing, live in Denver, and until 18 months ago, my life looked completely normal. My family had money, old money that didn't make noise. My father built a successful real estate portfolio over 40 years. He wasn't flashy, but the numbers were real. My sister Amanda is 4 years older. We grew up in the same house, went to the same schools. She went to Yale Law School and became a lawyer. I took the longer route through college and ended up in marketing, but we talked every week. We did holidays together. When our mom died 12 years ago, we held each other and promised we'd always have each other's backs. Dad remarried 8 years ago. Her name was Susan. I was genuinely happy for him, though Amanda made it clear immediately that she didn't trust Susan's motives. Looking back, I should have listened harder. 3 years into the marriage, Dad had a minor stroke. Nothing catastrophic, but it woke him up. He decided to update his will to make sure Amanda and I were both taken care of. He called me one Sunday afternoon. I was making pasta and said he wanted the will to reflect that he loved us equally. Then 14 months ago, Dad had another stroke, bigger this time. He spent 6 weeks in the hospital, and I basically lived there. I held his hand through the scary nights. Amanda visited occasionally, but she was busy with a case. I was there for the recovery, the appointments, the slow process of getting him back to normal. Then came the morning everything changed. I woke up to a call from a law firm I'd never heard of. They were representing Amanda. She was contesting Dad's will. She claimed he wasn't of sound mind when he made the recent changes. She said Susan had influenced him. She said I was making his recovery worse just by being there. But the thing that broke me, the accusation I still can't fully process, is that she blamed me for his declining health. She was going to court to get everything, and she had no problem destroying me to do it. The next 6 months felt like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. First came the depositions. I sat across a table from Amanda's legal team while they asked me incredibly intimate questions about my relationship with my father. They questioned whether I'd been present for the right reasons. They suggested that my frequent visits were motivated by financial interest. That hurt in a way I still don't have words for, because I'd never questioned my own motives until they forced me to. Amanda stopped returning my calls. When I tried to reach out after one particularly difficult deposition, her response was a text message from her paralegal. All communication should go through attorneys. My sister, the girl who called me crying when her first boyfriend broke her heart, she wouldn't even take my calls. The financial stress was immediate and crushing. My attorney's retainer alone was $8,000 money I'd saved for a house down payment. Every email from my lawyer cost $200. Every motion Amanda filed meant another $2,000. The math was suffocating. I realized that even if I won, I'd probably break even. But the money wasn't even the worst part. What destroyed me was being publicly at war with my sister. My extended family got involved. Cousins took sides. Aunts asked careful questions about what was really happening. I couldn't post anything on social media without wondering if Amanda's friends were reading something sinister into it. Work became impossible. I'd be in marketing meetings trying to discuss quarterly strategy while checking my phone for updates from my lawyer. I made mistakes, big ones. My boss pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I didn't know how to explain that my sister had declared war on me. I started losing weight. I stopped sleeping. I'd lie awake at 2 in the morning replaying conversations with Amanda from years ago, trying to figure out when she started hating me. I remember her teaching me to apply mascara when I was 13, and I'd wonder what I'd done to change that into this. Then came the court date. Walking into that courtroom felt like walking into a nightmare in slow motion. Amanda sat at the opposite table. I couldn't even look at her. My lawyer had warned me that her team brought expert witnesses who would testify about Dad's mental state. They had medical records, psychiatric evaluations, everything arranged to paint a picture of a man whose judgment was compromised. The judge sided with her almost immediately. It was like watching dominoes fall. When he announced the award 60% to Amanda, 30% to me, something inside me broke quietly, completely. I walked out of that courtroom feeling like I'd lost everything. My father's respect, my sister, my sense of family safety. That's when the man in the black suit appeared. I was leaning against the cold marble wall outside the courtroom, trying to remember how to breathe. My lawyer was handling another client on his phone. That's when someone stood next to me. Expensive suit, confident posture, the kind of presence that makes you look up even when you don't want to. He introduced himself as David Morrison. He said he'd been in the courtroom researching a similar case for a client he specialized in inheritance disputes and family litigation that had gotten ugly. He didn't explain why he'd stuck around for my case specifically, but something about his manner made me trust that he wasn't there by accident. He simply said, "I think you should know something about your case that your attorney might have missed." I was skeptical. Devastated people are skeptical about everything. But he handed me a card and asked me to meet him at a coffee shop the next morning. I almost didn't go, but something, maybe desperation, maybe intuition made me show up. David spent 2 hours walking me through my case. He showed me documents in Amanda's filing that contradicted each other. He explained how her expert witness had misinterpreted my father's medical records. He pointed out procedural issues that a more aggressive attorney should have challenged. And then he said something that reframed my entire understanding of what had happened. "Your sister didn't win because she had a better case," he told me. "She won because your attorney treated this like a standard inheritance dispute. But this isn't standard. This is systematic dismantling. That requires a different approach." David had this edge to him. He didn't suffer fools, and he clearly had very little patience for attorneys who didn't do their homework. There was something almost personal about his intensity. He explained I still had options. We could appeal. We could challenge the judgment on procedural grounds. But more importantly, he explained statutes protecting against something called undue influence. The idea that a family member might be pushing litigation specifically to control or damage another family member. Amanda's pattern of litigation, her sudden accusations, the timeline of her claims, these things pointed to something she'd been trying to hide. "I think your sister is scared," David said quietly. "I think she's scared that your father's will and your relationship with him threatens something she needed to control. And instead of dealing with that fear like an adult, she went to war." Something shifted in me. I stopped being a victim. I started being someone who understood the landscape I was actually standing on. I asked David to represent me for an appeal. I told him I didn't care about the money anymore. I cared about the truth. He took the case, but on a different basis. Instead of fighting over the will, we went after Amanda's motives. We filed discovery requests that forced her to hand over communications with the expert witnesses. We subpoenaed her financial records and found something that changed everything. She'd been financially struggling for years. Her Yale law career wasn't as successful as she'd led everyone to believe. She was desperate. Then David found something else. An email from Amanda to a business associate, written just days after Dad's second stroke. She wrote, "This situation could actually work in my favor if I handle it carefully. I'm thinking about making some moves." Not a comment about Dad's health, a comment about the opportunity his illness had created. And reading that email, seeing her desperation translated into calculated words, something broke open in me. Not anger, something deeper. Understanding. The appeal took 8 months, and it wasn't clean. 3 months in, Amanda's team filed a motion to have David removed from the case, claiming he had a conflict of interest. Turns out David had represented one of Amanda's former business partners in a dispute years ago. Something minor, something that should have been irrelevant, but Amanda's lawyers weaponized it. We had to fight that motion. We won, but it cost time and money and confidence. Then, 2 months before the hearing, the appellate court almost dismissed our appeal on a technicality. My original attorney had filed something incorrectly. We caught it, but barely. If we hadn't, everything would have been over. No second chance, no appeal, just acceptance of the loss. But we kept going. David was methodical, brilliant, and he believed in what we were doing. The appellate court overturned the previous judgment. They found that Amanda had engaged in what they officially called vexatious litigation with intent to disadvantage a family member. They awarded me 50% of the estate outright. Amanda got nothing. Susan kept her 10% as Dad's surviving spouse. The court ordered Amanda to pay a significant portion of my legal fees. But here's the thing about winning in a family war. It doesn't feel like I thought it would. I won the case, but I lost my sister. She tried to contact me after the ruling, but the message felt obligatory, not genuine. We haven't spoken since. What changed for me, and this is what I want you to understand if you're facing something similar, is that I stopped needing her to understand what she'd done. I stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. I stopped questioning whether I deserved the relationship with my father that I'd actually built. I learned that standing up for yourself doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who respects themselves enough to not accept mistreatment, especially from family. These days, I think about Amanda sometimes. I wonder if she knows that the temporary victory she achieved cost her something she could never get back. I hope she's happy somehow, but I'm no longer responsible for that. I'm no longer responsible for making her choices make sense. If you're facing betrayal from someone you love, I want you to know something. You deserve to protect yourself. You deserve to fight back. And you deserve to win without guilt. The people who love you will understand. The people who don't, they don't get to define your life anymore.